Fairbanks Focus is a locally produced public affairs program created in part by University of Alaska Fairbanks, KTVF, and Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation.
Hello again, and thank you for joining us. I'm Samantha Larson with the Fairbanks Focus, Alaska View. Today I'm sitting down with Fred Brown, Director of Public Relations at UAF with Student Government. Fred, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm excellent.
Yeah, good. Well, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So tell me what it is that you do as the Public Relations Director with Student Government.
Well, I have the Public Relations Department, which is the department of me. I work with the Senate in outreaching to students for their issues, trying to get more people involved with ASUAF, things like that.
Okay. So do you guys do open houses, or, I mean, how do you get the word out there for student government?
Well, we have elections every semester, which is one thing, and then the other thing that's big is Club Council, which is we disperse a bunch of funds to all the clubs, and that's our biggest direct involvement with the students. We also have the governance councils, or the government agreements, which is KSUA Radio, the Sun Star, Concert Board. We're all linked up with them, and then we collect the $42 semester fee, and then disperse that fee. We keep 48% of it and disperse the other 52% amongst the governance groups.
Really?
Yeah.
So you use that money for get-togethers, elections? How does that?
Of our 48%, we use it mainly for clubs, and then projects for the Senate. We also have our rollover account, which is money that we don't spend every year, goes into a big bank account. Things like the ice wall that was just opened this year, the terrain park, we spent $50,000 each on each of those projects.
Oh, wow.
The SRC came and asked us for some money. We spend on big events like that, and then smaller events we throw on candidate forums during election years. We had all the interior delegation that was running for the state government. They came and debated at Scheibel Auditorium back in 2010 when the Joe Miller, Lisa Murkowski, and Scott McAdams race. We hosted a huge debate between Scott McAdams and Joe Miller. Received coverage from MSNBC. We packed the Scheibel.
Really?
We were live streaming it in a bunch of the rooms in Gruning. So it's events like that.
And is that the most coverage, the biggest amount of coverage that you guys have had? And
that single event, yeah. We benefited from that being one of the most impactful Senate races probably in the past 30 years in all the U.S.
What made that so big? Sorry to interrupt you. But.
The Joe Miller, Lisa Murkowski race. I mean, we didn't have Senator Murkowski involved, but she'd launched that write-in campaign, which was the first successful write-in campaign since '55, I believe. Joe Miller had won the Republican primary. Was taking on the Democratic nominee, Scott McAdams. So just that race itself with that write-in campaign successfully launched received a bunch of national attention, and kind of anything that was really involved with that Senate race was going to get national attention, and we were fortunate enough to be able to host a Senate debate.
Oh, okay. So as far as student government is concerned, how do you get involved? How if you know?
There are a few ways students can get involved. One is being a club. You're going to receive ASUAF funding. Also, clubs that want to travel for various things, conferences, whatnot. We also give travel funding for that. And then students who want to be involved in the Senate, we host elections in the fall and the spring. There are 7 seats available in each election for Senate, which students can run for. They can also receive a presidential appointment. Go talk to the president, who currently is Mari Freitag, about receiving a Senate appointment. She'll talk to you about why you want to be involved, and she normally is very willing to appoint students who want to be involved in the Senate. At that point, they're appointed to the Senate confirms them. It's been a very long time, if it's ever happened, the Senate has not confirmed a presidential appointment to the Senate, at which point, once you're confirmed, you have to run in the next immediate election that's available to you.
Okay, lots of good information. Let's backtrack for just a second. You mentioned clubs. That's kind of the first step into student government is the clubs. What clubs specifically? Or
I mean, anybody can start a club on campus. I think there's currently 150 active clubs, but you just need to fill out a club funding form. Just request however much you want, say why, and then attend the club council meeting. A lot of that's done through the live office.
Okay.
But then we give club funding to it. We don't have a lot of direct involvement with the clubs. They're just receiving ASUF funds, which is their own money, because they're paying us to pay them. So.
Are there any particularly dominant clubs that stand out more than others that you're involved with?
I mean, some clubs receive more attention than others just because of just the nature of their involvement, like the student automotive SAE, student automotive engineering, I believe is. But they go and compete nationally. They build economic-friendly, like snow machines, things like that, eco-friendly. And they receive a lot of attention just because of, we're a university that prides ourselves on sustainability, and their sustainability engineering club, which is another big part of UAF.
Right.
So they receive a lot of ASUAF funding just because of their expenses. They spend thousands of dollars, whereas we also have the Hacky Sack Club and the Board Game Club, who are requesting $20 a semester to buy more hacky sacks, which is great. So it really just depends on what type of club and what their goal is.
Okay, but it seems like there's a wide variety of clubs for just about anybody who's interested.
Yeah, another big one is the Alaska Federation made Arts, which is a huge event statewide every year. But they made a club so they can receive ASUF funding for that, and that's a big one. There are a lot of students involved with that, which is great. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved.
So do you see, as the semesters go by, these groups that are already sustained getting bigger, or do you see more groups popping up and others kind of fading off, or?
You've got some groups that just kind of go away that aren't, they're not the biggest groups on campus. But we always see more and more. We were at, maybe 70 when I first came to UAF 3 years ago, and now it's 150 clubs. So a few of those groups won't put in requests next year, and 20 more will. So, so there's some takeaway and a lot of gain, which is great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The more variety, I think, the better.
Yeah.
The more options that students have to get involved. So let's go into the more recent elections. Tell me who was running, who was what?
In the most recent election, we had Alo Scannell and Mickey Zachardy were running for president and vice president. And the spring election, those elected will take office in the fall. So we had Alo Scannell and Mickey Zachardy, Dylan Ball and Michael Mansell, and Christian Burns Schaefer and Erica Phelps all running for president and vice president. And then we had 5 senators on the ballot. I'm not going to remember all of their names.
That's okay.
Taisha Nix, Shane Poindexter, Eli Berry Garland, Cord Reed, and Daniel Striegel. There, I named all 5.
Good job.
They were all on the ballot for 7 seats, and since there's 7 seats, there were a bunch of write-in candidates. And then there was nobody on the ballot for concert board, but there was a write-in race for that. And the two predominantly in the write-in race for concert board was R.J. Mikulski and Matthew Harris.
Oh, okay. And what were some of the big items, or I would say proposals or backboards that some of these candidates had?
Outreach is always a big one for senates who want to run. For the president, they've been involved a little bit more. Dylan Ball has been the vice president for the past 2 years. He was a senator for 1 year. Alo Scannell and Mickey Zachardy. Alo is currently our Senate chair. Mickey Zachardy is the longest serving senator. So these guys have been involved a little bit longer. They know more of the issues. Things like going down to the state legislature and advocating for programs, because we're a state university, so we receive a lot of our funds from the state budget. And
are they pretty successful with that?
Yeah, ASUF has a great history of being successful in advocating for things that programs that students want, student needs that the chancellors are not advocating for.
Give me an example, if you will.
Comprehensive academic advising, distance education. These are high priority projects that go into the Board of Regents budget. So the way the budget system works is the Board of Regents proposes their budget for the entire University of Alaska, which includes UAF, UAA, and UAS, and then all the satellite smaller campuses out there. So they propose their budget. then the governor puts out his budget, and normally the governor is going to cut a bunch of funding.
Right.
And then it's going to go to the House and the Senate. The House passes their capital budget and operating budget. The Senate passes their capital and operating budget. And then they meet and confer. So we go down after the governor has cut out a bunch of things that the Board of Regents want. We go down in February, and then we did a follow-up trip in March. And then we go talk to our legislatures with all of the University of Alaska students. And so academic advising was a big one because they're really worried about the engineering buildings and our power plant, which are major issues for UAF campus.
We've talked about that quite a bit on the show.
Yeah, but that's more of chancellors. I mean, the chancellors of the 3 MAUs are really the ones who are qualified to talk about that. We talked a little bit about engineering when we didn't think it was going to go in. We were fortunate that we got $30 million for UA and UAF. But we went down and we spoke about advising and just the lack of it between not just UAF but all the 3 MAUs. And then
just kind of getting more and trying to...
Yeah, things that the chancellor's really, he wants but isn't going to focus on because he's got a priority list and he has to be realistic. So.
Well, absolutely. I mean, they all kind of do. So I'd like to step aside and get to the main issue, what I'd really like to talk about on today's show. Obviously you can't have politics without some kind of scandal.
Some kind of scandal.
And you have to,
So what makes it fun?
It's politics. I mean, you got to have the gossip. So tell me, what happened with this election? What's the buzz on campus?
The buzz on campus is that there are 25 question ballots that were submitted online within the last 20 minutes of voting. Our office manager, Ann Williams, received calls from 5 people who said they received an email saying thank you for voting, and they had not voted. They called Ann Williams, said we didn't vote. So she went in and identified these 25 ballots that were all cast within the last 20 minutes of voting, and they all relatively had the exact same first page. She contacted all 25 people. She got a hold of 15 of them, and 15 people said we did not vote.
Really?
Please throw out our ballots. So at that point we knew there was something wrong. We threw out those 15 confirmed ballots, which only affected our Senate write-in spot, which Sophia G20 won that write-in spot before those ballots were thrown out. Once they were thrown out, Sarah Walker won the second write-in spot for Senate. Then the other votes have been for Christian Burns Schaefer and Erica Phelps, but they come in third already in the president's race, so it really didn't
have any weight to it.
Right.
Gosh, so what's going to happen next? I mean, are we going to have elections fixed in high schools and middle schools? I mean, what's going on here?
Well,
is this going to change next year's voting process at all?
Yeah, obviously we're going to try and take some steps to make it a little more secure. Currently, right now, all you need is a student ID number and the student's birthday, and you can vote in their name. But the way we have it right now, it's pretty easy to catch voter fraud, as we've seen. We've pretty much caught it all.
Right.
So maybe it's a tougher question. Maybe it's not just the birth date. All TAs and RAs have access to almost every student, especially those who live on campus.
So it's not super, super hard to get?
No, it's not. But it's also, you're going to get an email saying thanks for voting, and then when you get that email and you didn't vote.
Well, obviously they didn't think that through, and they probably should have hacked the emails too. I mean, no, not really, but if they were smart. Well, I hate to wrap it up, but that's going to about do it for us here today. If you will, tell our viewers how they can get involved or get more information with student government.
Yeah, like I said, you can contact our president about presidential appointments. It's Mari Freitag. We have our website, uaf.edu/ASUAF. We also have our office in the Wood Center. It's right behind the stairs by the bowling alley. It says student government on it.
Okay. So you got easy access online and on campus. If you're interested, check it out. I know you need more freshmen, so freshmen, get out there, get involved with your student government, put your voice out there. That's going to do it for us today on the Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Samantha Larson. Fred Brown, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for staying with us here at Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Annette Pearson, and today I am joined by Bart. And Bart, tell me your last name one more time.
Bart Laban.
Bart Laban of the Arctic Winter Games, which we are excited to be hosting here in Fairbanks in 2014. So Bart, tell us a little bit about what the Arctic Games are and what people can expect from them.
Well, the Arctic Winter Games have been around now better part of 40 years, early 70s getting their start. And the games have expanded in several significant ways. The number of participants has grown from the original 3, which was Alaska, Yukon Territory, and the Northwest Territories, to now you'd almost need the polar region of the globe to look at to see all the way from the Arctic, Russia region, all the way past Alaska and Canada to Greenland, and several spots in between. Polar regions of the globe, 9 delegations now participating. 2,000 athletes and coaches will arrive in Fairbanks in March of 2014 to participate in 19 different events. Many of them are sports related, but not all of them. There's some cultural interactions also. Some of the sports include hockey, basketball, badminton, volleyball, dog mushing, skiing, just a wide variety of sports and activities.
Oh, cool. And so how did this all get started, really?
It got started with the hope that through sports, and the original games focused on sports, that involving Alaska, Yukon, and Northwest Territories, the feeling was a mini Olympics, if you will, that if you connect people through sports across countries, you'd grow relationships and improve lifestyles and experiences.
Well, and of course, you know, when you live somewhere as cold as it is here, and other places like you're talking about, like Greenland, you know, it's really important that you actually get out and you socialize and you spend that time amongst other people, and that you're doing something active with yourself in the middle of winter.
Absolutely, and the games are focused on young people. Your typical participant is between the ages 15, 19 in that age group. So for these young people, 2,000 coaches and participants, getting to know each other, getting to know somebody from a part of the world you may never visit, or getting the opportunity to visit a part of the world. Fairbanks is hosting the games this year. The last time we hosted the games was in 1988. Oh, wow. So they come around once every 25 years or so. Alaska will not be able to host the games again for another 10 years by international rule. They have to rotate to the other sites. So very much these are Alaska games, not just Fairbanks. We won't see them again for another 10 years, and then Fairbanks cannot host back-to-back in the sense that 10 years from now they'll be back to Fairbanks. They'll be somewhere else in Alaska. So for Fairbanks, it'll be another 20 years before we see them again.
Oh, wow.
So it's special, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and it generates so much interest in Fairbanks, and it brings so many people to our town. You said that there's upwards of like at least 5,000 people or so that we can expect, because you have 2,000 athletes, but that's not the only people that come.
Absolutely. Each delegation will bring their own supporters, family members, friends, and we're hoping within the state of Alaska, many Alaskans will take advantage of the games being in Fairbanks to travel to Fairbanks to watch the games and participate.
Well, and what kind of, I know you talked a little bit about some of the sports. What are some of the ones that we should be really excited about because they're happening here in Fairbanks?
Well, everybody loves hockey, right?
Well, right.
One thing about Fairbanks is we're the right-sized community to host the games. We have a combination of venues and location and what I call a compact venue. We can have the skiing competition right here in Birch Hill in the ski facility. We can have the hockey. We have multiple hockey arenas right here in Fairbanks. We have the high school gymnasiums for the gymnastics and the volleyball and the basketball and the badminton. So with the Carlson Center, we have the opening for the games and the closing for the games. You could pack 5,000 people in the Carlson Center for that event along with the athletes. So we have so many options to participate as a spectator, different sports, whatever you have an interest in, be it from dog mushing to hockey to the cultural games. Something's for everybody.
What's the most interesting event that you're aware of?
Have you ever attended the World Eskimo Indian Games?
I have.
Just visualize some of the cultural exchanges in those games. The Arctic Winter Games are not matched event for event with the World Eskimo Indian Olympics, but many of the cultural events are based on those games. So by all means, come and you'll learn and see things you probably never will see anywhere else.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
my guess.
Well, very cool. And you said that this started off in March of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are doing all the planning, all of the prep work starting now, really.
Yeah, we have a committee of about 24 individuals that make up our board. I'm the treasurer. We've been meeting for nearly 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
We were awarded the games a little over 2 years ago, so our planning began right away. We meet frequently. We have a physical presence in Fairbanks at 4th and Barnett. We have a retail store where you can buy retail clothing, such as this lovely shirt I'm wearing. So do stop by our retail store at 4th and Barnett. You can get involved in many different ways. You can visit our site. Just search engine Fairbanks 2014 Arctic Winter Games, and you'll go right to our site. And you can sign up to volunteer, or you could purchase merchandise, or you can get involved at whatever level you wish to.
Well, now you said that the place is at 4th and Barnett. Now that's in the Ken Murray Insurance.
Ken Murray Insurance Building.
And it's just in the same building there, and people can go get shirts, hats. You know, I know people where I'm from are always looking for something from Fairbanks that I can send them, something from Alaska. And I think that's pretty cool that we can do that there. But what do you need? What kind of things are you looking for as far as when you're asking for volunteers and how people can get involved? Are you looking for people to set up, people to take down?
Here's a wide variety of ways to get involved. You can help support one of the venues. You can be, if your passion is basketball, you can volunteer your time to help support the venue, and the basketball is being played at West Valley High School. So you could be there to help support that venue. Say your passion is just general support of the games, and we're going to be housing the athletes at Lathrop High School and at Ryan. We're going to be feeding the athletes at Lathrop High School in their cafeteria. We have food service, we have housing service, we need volunteers to help with that. We have to set up enough beds in those schools in short order time to provide, if you will, accommodations for 2,000 athletes and coaches. So we're going to need help setting up beds if you like wrestling with mattresses. We're going to have to feed the participants 3 square meals a day plus snacks, and we have to then transport the participants from the housing venue to the various sports locations, be it the skiing, the dog mushing, hockey, basketball, whatever. So there is a lot of work. We're estimating the need for at least 2,000 volunteers.
Well, very cool. And I'm assuming that, of course, you'll take donations from things like businesses that want to help feed all of these athletes for a day.
Absolutely.
Now, do they get any sort of help from you guys as far as like putting their name on a banner, helping advertise
absolutely.
them?
We have different ways to recognize our sponsors at different levels. For example, my day job is at Mount McKinley Bank. Mount McKinley Bank has sponsored the basketball venue. So at West Valley High School, the bank's banner will be displayed as the venue sponsor. That's just one small example. All sponsors are also listed on the website.
Okay, cool. So you know, it definitely sounds like it's not only, you know, for the entire Arctic regions from Greenland to Russia to Alaska, but it's also really about generating business here in Fairbanks too.
Oh, it's going to be a huge economic boost, multi-million-dollar economic boost. March of next year is going to be one busy month if you also consider the ice carvers and other dog mushing events that go in March.
Yeah, that sounds pretty involved. And it's really exciting. I mean, it's really exciting that we get to have this here. Are any people who are sitting on the board are any of you guys from as far back as 1988 when the Fairbanks had the games here before?
Well, I officiated basketball in 1988 at the games, so that was my involvement. I was able to participate as a member of the Alaska delegation in the 1978 Arctic Winter Games, again playing basketball. That was many years ago. So I have a connection to these games that date back to the 1970s.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And are you guys looking for people like officiants and things like that too still?
We're looking for all kinds of folks that want to if you have any interest level in the games or in helping in the games, we will find your interest level and make a good connection to some way you can help.
Well, very cool. And I'm assuming that people can just buy tickets to come see events too.
Absolutely. We're counting on a lot of ticket sales.
Cool. And that's all just right there on the website. People want to check it out.
You can go to the website. Probably not a lot of tickets are being sold today, but as the games get closer, we know that interest level will go up, and you can buy a packet of tickets to a variety of events through the website.
Well, very cool. Well, very cool. And I really want to encourage, again, our viewers out there to get involved. Go check it out. Go see the Arctic Games. There's nothing more exciting than just exposing yourself to something that maybe you never would have checked out before. And I know that I've been to several dog mushing events, and WEO, like you're saying, the Eskimo Olympics is always really cool. And like I said, it should be fun. And it's not gonna probably happen here for another 20 years, 25 years.
You're right.
So that's pretty cool. Where is the next country that they plan on going to from here?
I believe it's in Canada. I believe it's in the Yukon Territory. I could be wrong on that, but I believe Canada has a tournament.
Cool. Well, and do you know how many events that you have? Do you know the number of events?
There's 19 events.
19 separate events. Okay, cool. And from March till?
It's a week long. It's a week long. It coincides with spring break in March of 2014. We need the school facilities for housing, meal service, and for the various venues. So the Fairbanks North Star Borough and the school district, school board have all helped in cooperating and setting spring break to overlap during that week. So,
that's wonderful.
we need to house quite a few people. Well,
and that's wonderful to have support from, from such a wonderful organization as the Fairbanks North Star School Borough. That's huge.
Well, we have support from not just businesses, but we also have individuals that have signed up to be Arctic Stars that have contributed $2,014 to the games.
Oh, wow.
And we have over 60 individuals that have stepped forward with over $2,000 in contributions. We've received public support from the state of Alaska, which is a big sponsor, multi-million-dollar sponsor. We've received support from the Fairbanks North Star Borough, the city of Fairbanks, city of North Pole, the municipality of Juneau, and also the North Slope Borough is a supporter. So we have quite a bit of support from the public sector also.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming and joining us today here at Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. We look forward to being there at the Arctic Games. And I just want to take one quick moment, as many people out there may not ever have known, we have a fantastic director who is behind the scenes. And we here at Fairbanks Focus, the other staff and crew members, we'd like to give him a quick shout out and say congratulations to him on making Film Student of the Year at University of Alaska Fairbanks. Aaron Gordon, we're really proud to have you here with us at Fairbanks Focus, and look forward to seeing what great things will come. That's going to do it for us, and I'm Nanette Pearson, and join us again next week.